I'm creating a healer-based roguelike called Heal to Death. Think of it as MMORPG healing meets roguelike dungeon exploration. You choose your team, explore dungeons, and acquire loot while keeping your party alive. I've been working on this project for just over 6 months, with roughly another year of planned development ahead of it. But today, I wanted to talk about one aspect of Heal to Death: upgrades. In Heal to Death, you get the classic free options to choose from as you level. Each of these options can either be a new spell or an upgrade for an existing spell. What makes these different from other games is that every single upgrade is designed to change your approach to gameplay in some capacity. Initially, when I made the upgrade system, I had basic stuff like increases big heal effect by 10%, which I quickly realized was boring and lame. But what was worse is that it railroaded you into picking a single spell and making it as good as possible. I dislike this in ARPGs, and I certainly am not going to let this happen to my game. So, I replaced most of my upgrades with effects that actually change how the spell can be used. For example, with Big Heal, I have upgrades that make you rethink how to use the spell. If you have Clutch Timing and start casting Big Heal when your target has 10% HP, the cast time is reduced by 50%, or 100% if you have Rank 2 Clutch Timing. All of a sudden, you have a niche case where it's better to delay healing a target to reach that 10% threshold, since you get an instant cast Big Heal. Alternatively, I have Predicted Precast, which gives you a massive critical strike chance bonus if you start casting Big Heal when the target has 100% HP. This seems kinda pointless, but there will be scenarios where you can expect your target to take a lot of damage, and if you start casting before that, you will be topping them right up with a Big Heal crit. These are what I call conditional effects, and I have 3 types of them. Precast conditionals, which check for situations at the start of casting the spell. Standard conditionals, which check for situations at the end of casting the spell. And post conditionals, which is after the spell has been casted. These systems give you a lot of opportunities to experience spells in unique ways. Another thing I've been a massive fan of is Kiss Curse mechanics. I love the idea of gaining a large power spike with a drawback. For example, the Absorption spell gives a target a shield that absorbs damage for 30 seconds. There is an upgrade called Time Shield, which will triple the effect of Absorption, but make the shield only last 2 seconds. So this turns a spell effect that will always be useful to a spell that, if timed well, is an extremely powerful and mana efficient way of reducing spike damage. Another example I have of this is an upgrade for Flash Heal. Flash Heal is a mana expensive heal that heals a single target for a large amount. The upgrade, Increase Bets, increases the mana cost by 50%, but in exchange you gain a buff that, when you get a critical strike, will reduce the cost of Flash Heal by 100%. So now you have an investment in getting crits, which plays well into Big Heal's Predicted Precast from earlier. Each of these upgrades is associated with a spell and a rarity. Green upgrades will normally just be a slight alteration to your gameplay. It will have 2 ranks, and I don't really limit it design-wise. Perhaps it's just a straight buff, perhaps it's a conditional buff, perhaps there's even some Kiss Curse elements, but to a lesser extent. The goal with these upgrades is to be a safer bet for players, and just something that you can't really go wrong with, most of the time. Blue upgrades, on the other hand, are much greater alterations to your existing spells and will always have a Kiss Curse element to them. For example, you have an upgrade that increases heal's effect by 50%, but for an increased mana cost of 50. This may seem like a very good deal on the surface considering you have 5000 mana, but Heal is a 0 cost mana spell, which means that when casted, it doesn't interrupt meditated mana regeneration, which basically lets you regain mana 8 times faster than previously. By costing 50 mana, the meditation timer gets interrupted, and this will end up costing you a lot more mana in the end. It's a powerful buff, but it also heavily changes how you would use the spell. Keep in mind though, this mana cost increase could potentially be reduced by other upgrades, and so the drawback could be negated. Purple upgrades are the greatest alterations of a spell. The goal of these is to completely alter the use of the spell. Lasting Impact turns Flash Heal into a heal over time effect. Sanctity turns Healing Mass, which is an extremely powerful AoE heal on a long cooldown, into a Protector Sphere that reduces damage by 95%. And Acid Rain turns Tranquil Rain, a low mana cost AoE heal, into something that does a lot of damage to enemies, but also to your party members. The goal of the upgrade system is to make it so that each upgrade is individually interesting, but also to have a framework for interesting synergies to happen. This is all still in early development, but I already have 150 upgrades in the game. I'm aiming to have at least 40 different spells and at least 500 different upgrades. After that, I think I will have reached a quantity threshold and can really start to focus on pruning and ensuring that only the best upgrades remain. Because the problem with having too many upgrades and only 3 choices per level is that you will never get to experience certain combinations no matter how hard you try to get them. Quantity is its own quality, but there is definitely a threshold where you have enough, and after that it's the quality that really matters. And this is why my game will have upgrades that are actually interesting. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you're interested in Healed to Death, then wishlist the game on Steam. I'm only about a third of the way through development, and I'm getting close to the stage where I can just focus on content and polish instead of core system development. So if you like what you saw, then there is a lot more to be excited about in the future.